Hey, Justina, thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
Excited to have you here. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm very, very stoked, by the way, for our listeners who can't see us right now. You're wearing a sweet vegan t-shirt.
Yes, I am.
It's
I only
awesome.
have vegan t-shirts.
You only own vegan t-shirts?
Yeah, I realized that I collected so many t-shirts. I had to like declutter everything, but I only have vegan t-shirts now.
That is amazing. Very
Hmm.
cool. Well, let's jump right in. Let's talk about your role that you're currently playing on Mayans M.C. I remember the Sons of Anarchy, which is kind of where it stemmed from, right? But
Hmm.
can you tell us about the show and about your role there?
Yes. So yes, Mayans M.C is a spinoff of Sons of Anarchy on FX. And it's about a Latinx biker gang and all the tribulations that they have to go through, whether that be within brotherhood and drugs and biking and the range of what Sons of Anarchy has gone through, you see it in Mayans. And my character, she's new this year for season 3. Her name is Nails, and she works at the bar that the guys always goes to, and she develops a relationship with Angel. And it gets really complicated. And as the season progresses, you kind of see the dynamic between the two of them at work and at home. So
Mm.
it's really interesting.
And it's a majority Latinx crew, right? Cast, I mean.
Cast, yes, predominantly cast. Crew too, we have a lot of Latinos behind the camera. It's a diverse set behind the scenes as well. But on camera is all Latin men for the most part.
Gotcha. That's amazing. I have not checked it out yet, but I'd really like to.
I
And
didn't watch the show before I got on it either. And
okay.
when I started here, so we're on the same team. But then I started watching it and I was like, actually, this is amazing. But season 3, like everyone was telling me while we were filming, it's just so different. It's so much more
Mm.
elevated than the first 2 seasons. So if you could get invested in season 1 and 2, season 3, you're gonna be like, this is my new favorite show. It's crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes there's a certain season, but you can't really start there. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It did. You can't start there, but look, like, hey, I feel like you totally can, and
Okay.
then want to go back. Like the first episode. I swear, if everyone just watches the first episode of season 3, you're gonna want to know more. So
Mm.
that might motivate people to want to watch the first 2 seasons so they can catch up and understand all these issues that are happening. But
Hmm.
season 3 is definitely it will reel you in for sure.
Well, you've sold me.
It's true. It's true. I was like, what? This is what we filmed? It's crazy.
That's so awesome. Well, let's talk about your veganism because we're going to combine these things too because I'm really interested in talking about veganism on set and like
Mm-hmm.
hair products, makeup products, making sure they're vegan, all that kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
let's start with your vegan background story. So, how did you come to veganism? What brought you to it?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I always like that's like a part of me. I always talk about it being a journey. It's been one hell of a journey. I've been on it since I want to say 15 years old. Like
Oh,
I
wow.
I didn't even know what veganism was, but I was just like, I saw a video in high school. I don't even know what it was. And I remember feeling so guilty and just crying. And like people felt bad and uncomfortable when they watched it in class. But like I just was overwhelmed and I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop talking about it. And I was like, I'm going to be a vegetarian. And I tried, but then I would catch myself still eating things that weren't vegetarian when no one was watching. Or,
Mm,
I would, and then I'd feel so guilty, and I created this super unhealthy relationship with food because I really wanted to, ultimately, I didn't know, go vegan, but I didn't have the tools, I didn't have the support, I didn't have any role models, I didn't know anyone else who was doing that. And it was really difficult, coming from any background, but in the Latin background, I'm Puerto Rican. My family finds a way to put something that comes from an animal in almost every dish, and I'm like, why? So, there would be years where I would be vegetarian, and then Thanksgiving would happen and my morals went out the window, and it was a huge battle. And it wasn't until right before I landed Grand Hotel on ABC, I was like, you know what? I had a really bad experience with a job with like food. It always was kind of tied with in with each other. I just had such an unhealthy relationship, and that all stemmed from guilt. And I knew one
Mm.
way to come out of that was to rid myself of guilt, because I wasn't going to be putting anything harmful and like, you know, just like completely not aligned with my morals and who I am, which is a animal lover, I claimed. So I told myself I'm not going to contribute to this disgusting industry any longer. And it started with my diet, what I ate. I became vegan, and then I realized, wow, it's so much more. It's what I'm wearing, and I never thought, you know, into like wool. I didn't think that
Mhm.
there was any harm happening until thank God for social media. That's the I thank social media for my lifestyle now, because I saw the things I needed to see, which is things that people don't want to see. And I got to see the truth, and I started, you know, I definitely stopped buying everything, and then I started clearing out what I already had. I never bought leather, but for some reason wool, like it just, we have this misconception of like where we get our products and how the animals are being treated while we get them, like, oh, we're not killing them, so it shouldn't be bad. And it's like, okay, that is not even it at all. They're not
Mhm.
happy dappy on a field being lightly groomed and treated like a little princess. That's not at all what was happening. And so I started integrating it into my life completely, up until I knew I was vegan. Like I was like, I am
Right.
completely vegan. Like I'm going to work, and I'm not going to apologize or feel bad asking, or letting them know that I am not going to have non-vegan, cruelty-free products. Like we
Mhm.
are going all the way because the options are there. And if you don't know, let's educate ourselves. You're a makeup artist, that's a part of your craft. Let me help you learn, and you can help me learn whenever you find out about vegan brands, and you can tell me, because an it's an evolution within our species that we need to like join forces together. And it's not about I'm better than you, and it's about let's learn together so that we can continue to evolve in the right way and help each other and help this world and help these innocent creatures that are being exploited for what?
Mhm.
For what? And that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, for what? Like there's so many options. Like, and then I realized, like, wow, my childhood dream of wanting to help animals and be an actor, I can have both of them, and
Mhm.
I can have both of them. So like when I'm on set, like I've made friends with like the chefs that are there. One of them, like he was a part of two shows I've already been a part of. He was on Mayans and on Grand Hotel, and he specializes in like vegan food. So like there's always a massive amount of vegan options, and he's very very particular with it. And he's super passionate about it as well. And food was always covered. There's the vegan options were always they're always taken before everything else. So I'm kind of like, is
Hmm.
everyone not getting the picture here? Like, like we're all artists, we're all concerned about our health, our appearance. Like, why aren't salads and healthy options and the juicer and the vegan options being a priority? You know what I mean? And I feel like, as annoying as I'm sure some people may find me sometimes, I don't care, because I know that I'm not here being annoying. I'm here doing my job, doing justice for these animals, and making up for lost time that
Mm.
I was being selfish with, like not seeing the light, not seeing that I wasn't sacrificing quality time with family or friends and socializing. I was gaining so much more because now I'm able to give back to my friends and family. I'm able to give back to the animals. I'm able to help educate myself and other people on this lifestyle that I believe we should all be living and should have already been living, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and hair products too. Like I learned, and it's starting to shift into like the direction. It's like, okay, well then there's like these vegan brands, but like let's also like be as clean as possible. Like we don't have to have this product. Let's just use coconut oil
Mm.
or argan oil, like one ingredient, please. Like we don't have to like put all this stuff or like buy this expensive vegan brand. It's like, no, we could just go back to the basics and just get the whole food product, like one ingredient or two or whatnot, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Yeah, I want to dive into that some more, specifically on set and how that's been. But first of all, you mentioned family and friends, and you also
Mm.
mention, certain cultural backgrounds, perhaps yours included, involves a lot of animal products traditionally, and like, your parents putting animal products in basically everything. So,
Yeah.
what has that relationship been like? Have you had pushback from your family? Are they also into learning more about veganism? Like what's it been like on that personal level?
Yeah, my family has been amazing, especially when once they saw the turn and strength within me. Like there was a one point where I didn't go home for Thanksgiving. When I was taking myself serious, when I was like, I'm not doing this, I wasn't sure if I was going to be weak and manipulated
Mm,
and lose all sense of moral code. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going home this year. I'm going to make myself my own little vegan, Thanksgiving. And my dad, I was living in New York. My mom lives in South Carolina. My dad used to live upstate New York, and he's like, "Oh, why don't you come up here?" And I was like, "No, like I need to do this for myself. I need to prove to myself that I could do this, and it's no big deal. If anything, I'm giving thanks right now to the animals for showing me compassion. Like that was that day for me. And I feel like that when I did that, it made everything just like easier for me. I was like, wow, this is so easy. I made this whole vegan Thanksgiving for myself, by myself. And my family kind of saw like, okay, Justina's taking this seriously now. And my dad, you know, for him to be closer with me, he started like telling me all these things about like herbs and this and
mm,
that, and like vegan this, vegan that. And he started getting into it. And he's not quite there yet. But my dad has physically transformed because he did go more so on the health
right.
path.
Yeah.
So he cut
Hmm.
out a lot of, because we know like being vegan doesn't mean that you're healthy necessarily. You know, you can still have pizza, donuts, cake every day if you so wanted to. But because of veganism, he started going the healthier route, like only plants and herbs and juicing and all this stuff. So my dad like is like on that journey, and I'm super proud of him because I think he's gonna get there. I really believe he's gonna get there. And people think you have to do it overnight. Like ideally, amazing, yes, but you don't go to the gym one session and like
Hmm.
you're a gym freak and you have abs within 2 months. Like, no, that's not going to happen. It's a process. you know just because you lose your vision for a second doesn't mean the journey's over and you can quit there. So my family too, every time like I'm like with my mom and my siblings, like I'll cook vegan, or my mom will cook vegan. Like I have a lot of support now just because they've seen it. Like it's like my job. It's my job now.
Hmm.
Like I've
Hmm.
taken that title as it being my purpose,
I love
which
that.
I'm so grateful for.
Absolutely. And like you said, you can join
Yeah.
together the actor piece and the vegan slash activist slash educator piece. I mean, they can go together
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of different ways.
Uh-huh. They do, and they very much do, because as a lot of people know, a lot of actors collaborate with certain brands, and
Mm.
I'm like, I want to collaborate with all the vegan brands. Like that's who I want to collaborate with. Like there's this vegan shoe brand that, my God, and women owned and everything. Like they've been so good to me. They're called Born in California Footwear, BC Footwear, and they have
I
the
think I have
coolest
some of their
affordable vegan
stuff
shoes.
actually. Yeah, I think I know them.
Yeah, they're super dope. because people veganism gets a bad rep about it being expensive, right? So
Mhm.
I try to find like brands that are affordable, you know what I mean, that people who relate to me uh can attain, you know, like they're like, I can't buy this $10 vegan cheese all the time. I'm like,
Mhm.
don't. Like, I don't even buy it all the time. Like, it's a journey. These are just things that you can latch onto to, you know, wean yourself off of these addictive, exploitive products, you know, like
Exactly.
this is the middle ground. And then afterwards, you won't even want them anymore. You know, I'm finding that out. I bought this cheese that I loved. I used to love so much. And I ate it the other day and I was like, "Ugh, I didn't want it anymore because
Interesting.
my heart has been like wanting to be, you know, cleaner, and it's a pretty clean product, but I was like, oh wow, I don't even want cheese anymore. I don't even want cheese anymore, you know. And so like with me, with my whatever platform I have, I'm always like talking about veganism. It's kind of hard for me not to. It's my favorite topic to talk about. Like it's just like, just because it's just like there's so much to learn. Like I just watched Seaspiracy. Like I'd love to be a part of like a documentary, and in front or behind the camera, um just to be a part of a production that's solely based on, you know, educating ourselves on what we're, our actions
Mhm.
directly with animals, you know.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I watched Seaspiracy and my mind was blown away. Like I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how many. It's like we can't just do one bad thing. We're like doing
Mhm.
everything, and only being told one thing. And I'm like, we have got to change. We've got to change. And, you know, people are always like, oh, so you care about animals more than humans. And like my first instinct is always like, yeah, I do. But I'm like, actually, I think the real like I feel bad for these animals, of course. And like, don't get me wrong, I'd rather spend time with animals, but I have a deep. I feel so angry, and I'm so frustrated for us humans, you know, because we're being lied to all the time and we're being manipulated, and it makes me sad because we're just hurting ourselves. And I do care about humans, which is why I'm so angry about it, which is why
Mhm.
I'm so like passionate about it, because we don't even know what we're talking about, you know. Like we're not being told the right things, and we're being led down a destructive path, and I just want us to do better.
Absolutely. Well, and the other thing is, veganism is a human construct. And if we're not taking humans into the picture, we're missing out. We're going to lose a lot of folks to our message,
Hmm.
you know? So I think
Yeah.
human rights, animal rights, they are linked inevitably.
Hmm.
I do know some folks, a few, who are just like they don't give a shit at all about humans, but in the process they're losing some of the people who may be interested in the message if they
Mm.
expressed it differently, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind
I'm
of a
I'm
weird
learning
point.
that too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm learning my approach too, because I can come off very like bra sometimes, you know, very strong, just because I just get so mad whenever I see the torture and murder with towards the animals. And I mean, to me, I'm like, who wouldn't get so upset and just like, gosh, because who's doing it? The humans are doing it to them.
Mhm.
So the first, you know, my first reaction, I'm a, you know, my Mercury is an Aries, so I'm fire and super fast, like verbally with my reaction. But of course, like I'm just like, wow, like this person, like then I took a step back and I'm like, wow, this is this person's job. This person probably doesn't have any option but to do this. And what is happening to their mental state? Because now
Mhm.
they're killing animals. This is not okay. Like the environment that they're in physically and mentally is disturbing. Quite literally, we are doing them an injustice as well. And that is
Absolutely.
definitely something that I don't talk about as much. And I don't think we us as vegans don't talk about that part as much, because we're
Mhm.
just so focused on like the animals, like the surface issue, but the root of the issue is like, why, what's happening to these people? Like, why is this their only job? And I feel like Seaspiracy kind of touched on that with like these people, like, they've been captured for X amount of months and years, like stuck
Mm-hmm.
on that ship, forced to fish and live in these toxic environments and doing like horrific things that they started questioning their morals, but they were trapped.
Mm-hmm.
They were
Exactly.
stuck. They were enslaved. And it's like, wow, this is happening. And it's like, yes, yes, yes. Can us vegan activists have a better approach? 100%. We're all figuring it out. We're all figuring out. But the biggest thing is like, we just want to do right. We just want to do what's right. And the way to do that is to just all of us stand up with each other and say, we're not going to eat this.
Mm-hmm.
There will be other jobs for that person that's working at the slaughterhouse. They will come about, but we cannot do this for that person where now they're trapped in this cycle for themselves, where this is the only job that they're able to get. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
We have to bite the bullet in the beginning and say no to everything so that we can have a reset and figure it out, because nobody is winning. Nobody is winning at all.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot to unpack there. Human rights, animal rights, there's so many, you know, like relationships between them. And I think what you said about we're still figuring it out is a really important point. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot, I find, a lot of all or nothing thinking within the vegan movement. So within people who are already completely
Mm-hmm.
plant-based or vegan. And there's this kind of concept out there that if you criticize any aspect of the vegan movement, you're now a shitty vegan. Where I think, like you said,
Mm.
we're already figuring it out, or we're still figuring it out, you know?
Yeah.
We need to be open to constructive feedback, and we need to be thinking about how we are presenting the message and what that message is in the first
Mm-hmm.
place. So, yeah, I think, what you're saying could be a whole other series of podcast episodes about how are we presenting veganism? What are the interrelated issues here? There's a lot to unpack, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It
let's
is. It's overwhelming. It's
It is.
overwhelming.
I know. It is. But let's
It's like, how did we
transition.
get here?
Yeah,
How
how do
did
we get here? Let's transition to you being adamant that only vegan products are used on set. This is something I'm super interested in because I don't know anything about being on set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about being an
Mm-hmm.
actor. And so I'm interested in how that works for you. Like, has there been pushback from professionals who are like, nope, I use my products and that's it? Like, what's the process there?
Yeah, so it has been very interesting. I remember um I was vegan and I started doing a show, and I wasn't there every day. I wasn't a series regular. And I remember kind of feeling like not shameful, but like if I ask for just vegan makeup and vegan products, am I going to come off as a diva? Am I going to be coming off as like, oh, I'm asking, and like, and so I remember going back and forth a lot, and I was just asking questions, at that time. And I did feel like certain, like, just like uncomfortable. I just felt uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was being super judged. But I remember when I had the opportunity, when I was working on Grand Hotel, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand up for what's right.
Hmm.
And I'm not here asking for white candles, scented XX, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just asking for what's already out there. And they probably have a lot of it, not even know it. And, these sets, they get makeup too. Like they get
Mm-hmm.
sponsored and whatnot. And so, and you need new makeup anyway. They need to get makeup that fits my skin, right? That's just how it goes. And so I had asked for that, and it worked. It worked out fine. And when I got on set, I asked, and sometimes certain makeup artists on different projects that I've worked on, they've been taken back. They've been
Hmm.
like, oh, like, sometimes people like to claim certain things like, oh, I'm vegan, but then they don't really stand up and go all the way. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Or
Mm-hmm.
like, it's fine, it's fine. And I made it a point to not be like that because it's not fine. And it is my body.
Mm-hmm.
It's my body that you're putting these products on. And I care. And who is anyone to judge a person for standing up for what they choose to put into their bodies and what they choose to support, you know? So I think because of my passion and because of where I was coming from and the way I have approached certain, makeup and hair artists, I think they understood like where my passion, was coming from. It wasn't an entitled thing. It was just I can't put anyone's dollar or support anything that is hurting these animals. I just can't do it anymore. And can you help me? It's kind of like, can you like help me find out
Mm-hmm.
new
Mm-hmm.
brands? I'm like, I'll help you. Like, let's Google it. Is it? Because some I remember one time I had someone say, well, what are some vegan brands? What are vegan brands? What do you use? And I was like, well, first of all, I don't, I just started getting into makeup, but I was like, I don't wear makeup. I don't wear makeup. So sorry, I'm not, that's not my job. Like I'm I don't know about makeup. I kind of don't care about makeup. I was just letting you know, like, I don't like to put these kind of things on my skin, and I'm vegan. I care. And so I think once I started talking about veganism with them and my true passion for the animals, they softened up with me, and we were on the phone like looking up products, and it's like, oh, I know this brand, and they're like, oh, I have this
Mm-hmm.
actually. Or they were asking each other like, hey, does anybody have this brand? Or and like they'd exchange stuff, and then when I came back, they would have it already ready, because in the industry, you'll once in the beginning they establish certain looks for you, they'll have those products, and that's all it is. It's not like every single day, it's a whole new journey of what makeup we're going to put
Mm-hmm.
on you. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Yep, that makes
So
sense.
it's just like a one-time thing. It's just a one-time thing that we have to have this educational discussion. And like, who doesn't like to learn, right?
Well, you have
And
a good
same
point,
goes for
and
hair
it
and
should be
makeup,
part of their job, honestly. Like, especially now when there's more and more
Yeah.
actors and probably crew members as well, but in the makeup department, it's obviously mostly about actors. Like so many of the actors on Game of Thrones, for example, are vegan. I don't know what it is about that cast,
Mm,
but like so many of them are vegan, and
heck
they had
yeah.
like, the faux seitan based meats. If they ever had to eat meat in a scene, it was
That's amazing.
actually like
Oh
vegan,
yeah.
So it's
Oh yeah,
becoming
that's
more and more
happened to me
common.
too. I made sure anytime I'd have to like eat something on set, like they made sure that like it was only like no animal products were on my plate. And if
Yep.
there need like I had to drink a milkshake once on Roswell, and I was like, eat has to be vegan. And they were like, okay. Like I think it slipped somebody's mind, and they were like, no, we told you it has to be vegan. And they switched it, and they bought all the vegan, that vegan milk, the vegan ice cream,
Nice.
and made sure it was vegan. And, for me, that was so important, because it's like, now I'm going to be thinking about this, and like, I can't really sip on this because it's not vegan. And now I'm scared that if I do like go for it, I just drink, cow's milk. And, it just completely takes me. No, my phone.
Oh, hello. Oh, your phone died. No worries. It's all good. No worries. So you were talking about the milkshake example, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they actually changed it for you?
Yeah, because like it would be just so distracting for me as an actor to know that I may be drinking, like not thinking in a moment like, oh yeah, it because don't you find like sometimes like I just instantly think everything's vegan now. Like I'm just like, I'm
Nowadays
like,
we have
wait,
so many options. I kind of have
and
that
I
mindset.
and I'm like just always like in that world and mentality of like, why would this not be? Or like, like that like it slips my mind sometimes. So like doing a scene with it around me, you know, it's distracting, and then I kind of feel disrespected just because I feel like if I acknowledge that like this is part of my lifestyle, it's my religion. Like I don't believe in animal exploitation, and I don't want to put it in or on my body.
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
someone to kind of like not take that seriously for me, it just makes me so sad. It really does. And it makes me sad for like, one, someone like didn't consider like what I believe in, and two, this is the world that I live in. Like it
Yeah,
sends
yeah.
me kind of spiraling, and I'm like, the poor animals, and like forget it. My whole day is like kind of like shot because I'm like, wow, we don't care. We just don't care. So
Yeah, that can be tough.
yeah, but I think like everyone does such a great job with like respecting that, especially on Mayans. Oh my God, like Elgin, our showrunner, he is vegan. Him and his wife are
Oh,
vegan,
great.
and a couple of the actors, Richard is vegan, and like a couple of the actors are plant-based, and or at least try to be as much as
Hmm.
possible. So like everyone's ready on set for that, like which
Nice.
makes me so happy. I remember one time I saw like someone had like an ice cream bar, and they're like, "Oh, Justina, it's vegan," and I was like, "It's vegan," and I was like, Haagen-Dazs has a vegan ice cream. Why did I not know that? And like go in, and I go to the guy who like is in charge of all the snacks and stuff, and I was like, "Can I have like the vegan ice cream? It's that one's vegan." I knew the Magnum had some, but I didn't know Haagen-Dazs had some. And he's like, "Yeah, it's vegan," and I was like, "Show me the box," and he was mad at me. He's like, "You don't believe me? You think I wouldn't give you one?" I was like, "I just want to make sure." I was like, "I just want to make sure," just because there's been so many moments where I've been to an event,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Wait, these are vegan?" And they're like, "Yeah, these are vegan," blah, blah, blah. And then I eat it, and I'm like, oh, I instantly know, like I joke around, but I'm so serious. I feel like I taste the fear. I taste the fear in when something is not vegan, and I was like, this is not vegan, and they go and actually check, and it's not. And it just
Mm.
goes to show how like us as humans, we're just like so we're not as thoughtful as we like to believe we are. We're
Hmm.
quick to be like, yeah, instead of saying, one moment, let me make sure, or let me figure that out for you. Like it's okay to not know something.
Hmm.
It's important to verify, to do your research. That's so crucial.
Yeah, I kind of I feel you on the kind of weirdness or awkwardness potentially around someone who says yes, it's vegan, and then saying, "Hey, can I just check the ingredients?"
Yeah.
I have a lot of food allergies, and so even aside from the vegan thing, it's vegan
Mm.
plus loads of food allergies, and so I don't expect folks to know these or like have them in their brain. I want to see the freaking ingredients. Like,
Yeah, it's like, what's
I'm
the
gonna
big
check it.
deal?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're like, okay, let me save you time. Let me look at that
exactly.
box, you know? I mean, and
Yeah.
and you saying that, it's just like, oh my God, food, 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 food. We need it, right? It's such a huge topic that's so complicated. I don't know how it is over there, but in America, oh my gosh,
It's
it's
not too different over here, honestly.
okay. Oh, that makes
Maybe a
me feel
little,
better. Makes
but
me feel
not a
better,
lot.
but it also makes me sad still.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like we all have a lot of food allergies because they're not natural,
Hmm.
and we shouldn't be consuming every and anything if just because we can. I'm learning that about myself too. It's like we don't listen to our bodies. We really don't. And so on the spectrum of that, that's like such a big question, but we really don't listen to our bodies, especially with what we're consuming, because we've just, hushed our bodies up. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a little bit of pain or a little bit of uncomfortableness, or now my body's a little puffy, but we don't think about why. You know what I mean? And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, because there's an ingredient list.
Well, and
That-
also, like most of the world, most of the human population is lactose intolerant. And I mean, this. I'm preaching to the choir here, but
Crazy. I
like
don't know, but
it's ridiculous how many folks, like there's something like over 90% of indigenous folks here in Canada have some
mm,
form of lactose intolerance. And so it varies by different ethnic groups, some of
mm,
whom have extremely high levels of lactose intolerance. And so not only is that a problem because dairy is normalized and it's not taking into account any of these ethnic differences, but also it's a problem because dairy is normalized, like
exactly.
itself.
It's not meant for us. It's not
Mm-hmm.
meant for us. Why are we forcing this? And it's like, oh, well, it's always been this way. I'm like, there's a lot of really messed up things that don't make sense that have been a certain way. Then now that we know better, shouldn't we stop? Like,
Exactly.
hello, this is
Yeah.
one of them. And I think I mean, obviously there's progress, right? There
Sure.
are multiple options of, you know, milks at the store now that were not there 5 years ago or
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago. But we've got such a long way to go, because then they manipulate that. They're like, okay, here's your nut milk with gum gar X23 and all these things that are unnecessary. But I'm hopeful. I stay hopeful regardless of all the people that are like, the whole world isn't going to go vegan. And I'm like,
Well,
not with that mindset,
I'm
sir.
under no illusion that the whole world is going to go vegan like tomorrow,
Well, duh, yeah.
possibly ever, but also like maintaining this sense of hope and having a platform and having a message about veganism is huge in itself. So,
Yeah.
what would you say to some folks who are listening to our show who aren't yet vegan? I mean, most of our listeners are somewhere on the spectrum. Not everyone is plant based. There's a lot of curious folks.
That's amazing.
But
Curiosity
yeah,
will cure the addiction.
uh huh, interesting.
For sure. I mean, it all it takes is curiosity. Sometimes I find that people who fight me, like literally, I feel like they're verbally fighting me about veganism. I'm like, at least you do care, don't you? Because you're starting
Mm,
to feel uncomfortable with what I'm saying about the things that you do. And you should feel that way. You should feel like I'm like, yeah, you feel like I'm coming at you, but I'm not coming at you. You're coming at yourself right now, because
right. That's a great way of
everything
putting it.
everything that you're doing right now, it being reflected back at you. You're uncomfortable now, and now you feel like I'm making you a bad guy, and you're not the bad guy. You've been born into this. We all have. It's like, I wasn't born vegan. I've been like battling this addiction and mentality since I was 15, even longer. Cause I remember specifically when I was a child saying, like, I don't want to eat this, or like, wait, where does this come from? Or like, I remember being in Puerto Rico and I saw these bunnies and my cousin laughed at me because he was like, our grandma's gonna kill them and cook them, and having a freak out and refusing to eat anything, crying about it.
Hmm.
We just get back into the sleep state of and being conditioned into these normalized ways. And it's like, no one's coming at you. If you're curious, it's because you are listening to your heart, you're listening to your intuition. So follow that. Remember, if you're ever doubting or questioning anything, what do you believe is right? Do you believe that these animals should be murdered, tortured? Because that happens. Even if it's not part of the job, it happens. These people are in a toxic, disturbing environment. They start losing it. They start feeling entitlement. These animals don't want to be killed. So they're running around, freaking out, fighting the humans as they have a right to. And so these people are handling them like you're watching a Saw movie. You know what I mean? That's just what's happening. So if you don't think that that's right, then don't contribute to it. You will survive. You will survive. They're not, you know, like keep going, like don't stop. Or if you need to check yourself again, watch those messed up videos. Just it's horrible, but it's like that keeps me engaged with myself for continuing spreading the message. When I come across those videos, I'm already vegan, but I know so many people that aren't. And I know I can't get through this video. I know they're not, but they need to know that this is what's happening. And
Hmm.
this is what's taking place in order for them to have their brunch. You know what I mean? Like they just
Yes.
need to know if you're okay with all of this, live live your best life. I'm sorry, I'm gonna continue to fight for these animals. But you shouldn't, you know, like don't feel bad if your friends or family are coming at you for changing, or you know, it's like you're wanting to do right for the right reasons for yourself and for these innocent creatures. Like
Absolutely.
everybody
Yeah.
wants to make a difference in the world, right? That's I feel like that's almost everyone's goal. Like they want to make a difference.
Sure.
Like going vegan is the easiest way you can do that.
I think it's the easiest with the biggest impact. It's like
uh,
the
1000%.
bang for your buck, make a difference move that you can make in your life. For
100%.
sure.
And guess what, if it's a money thing, then you have the beautiful option of going vegan in the healthiest way. You know,
Hmm.
like when if it's money that's a problem, you don't have to get those mock meats. I'm not even like interested in them as much anymore unless they're like super clean, and it's like a treat, you know, it's
Yes,
not an
exactly. That's how I see
everyday.
them for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not an everyday, 100% not an every meal thing for me anymore. So it's like you don't have much money. I get it. We shouldn't be spending that much money on food anyway. But then you have the option to be healthy with it. You know,
Hmm.
stick to the basics, stick to the whole foods, fruits and vegetables, and yada yada. It's like you're gonna get your nutrients. Trust me, your body's gonna want to. You're gonna have those cravings. Like I know when I crave, I'm like, why am I obsessed with beans right now? Like I need beans, or I'm like, why do I just want like a fresh green juice? Like I never thought like I'd have those cravings, but it's just like detoxing yourself from the bad things will continue to clear your mind and your body
Hmm.
for good things.
And what you mentioned earlier about social media being a huge influence in your own journey, I think that's true in a lot of ways for anyone right now who's curious because, 18 plus years ago when I went vegan, we didn't have social media. I couldn't just easily Google like slaughterhouse footage or whatever.
Ugh, I
So,
know.
not that
Kudos to
that's the only thing you
everyone.
should use social media for, but still.
No, no, no. That's amazing. Like everyone who's been vegan before social media, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think nowadays, though, I mean, this is also a whole other conversation, but social media can also backfire in a lot of ways. There's a lot of ways where people or organizations are doing things that I think are negative
Mm,
within the vegan sphere. A
mm.
whole other conversation, but basically the point is the information is out there, right?
Yeah,
And you're saying curiosity. I really like your point about curiosity being like the main
it's a
catalyst
cure.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
curiosity is the cure because no one is. I know I must mess up in ways I don't even know. And like I'm open for it. If someone's like, Justina, yeah, that's vegan, but did you know that this company, blah, 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 blah?
Mhm. Mhm.
Please tell me. Like I feel like I just want to be better and do better. That's it, so
Mhm.
it's like I'm here to learn all the time. And like, by gosh, like it's annoying. Like there's always pros and cons to everything, right? Like you said, like there's certain vegan
Exactly.
companies that,
Yeah.
and that's, it sucks. But then it's important for us to be like, hey, we love what you're doing, but also y'all should think about this as well.
Mhm.
Us that are aware of those companies that are going back and forth, like showing this but doing this. It's our job. Like it's like what cancel season, whatever it's called, like, well then there's a pro and con to that too. It's like we should hold each other accountable for the things that matter, for the things that
Mm-hmm.
matter. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like no one's canceled, but we can continue to just like call each other out when we need to call each other out. And hopefully the receiving party can say, wow, thanks for letting us know that we do need to work on this.
100%. And on an individual level and also on a larger scale organizational commercial level even. I
Mhm.
think that and curiosity together are going to be and are huge, huge motivators and catalysts.
Yeah, because it helps us grow as people. I mean, like we all go through experiences where we're like, man, oh, I wish I would have done this in this way instead, or like, I wish I would have known this sooner, or why couldn't I see that I was, being stubborn and I could have, the results could have been different if I would have just said, you're right. I
Mm-hmm.
need to
Yeah.
grow,
Yeah.
and let me take actions on that. Like, and that's with everything, not even just veganism. I look back at certain things and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was acting like I wasn't in the wrong, or like there was no room for growth, and there was so much room for growth. And instead of keeping that inside and realizing that internally, vocalizing that to the party that was giving me that information, letting them know
Right.
I
Yeah.
do need to grow there.
Yep.
I do need to grow. Please be patient with me while I am on this journey in bettering myself. Like that's the place I'm in right now. Like I'm just like, oh, I just want to be I just want to be better. I want to evolve. I want to be a better role model. I want to be a better version of Justina so that when I know people are looking up to me, I know that they're looking up to the better version of me that they could look up to, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I hear you. I want to also mention that we can aspire to be better vegans, humans, actors, what have you, but we can also be cool with where we're at currently, right? So
A
just
thousand
saying,
percent.
appreciate where you're at, but there's nothing wrong with continuing to strive.
Oh, it's both. It's the balance of both because I definitely have, I wasn't there, but being okay with where I am now, I'm so there. Oh my God. Like it's so freeing.
Mhm.
It's so freeing. You feel like you're that emptiness is full,
Mhm.
when you're okay and like happy and gentle with where you are now, you know uh yes, I feel like we all need a lot of that. I know a lot of people that are just, they're so hard on themselves with where they are now. I'm like, hello, all you have is now. Stop, where are you? Like, be right here. Yes, you should want to be better. Just educate yourself then. If you
Yep,
know you could be better and you're not doing enough, then do that. But like be okay with where you are. You're
exactly.
100%
It's
correct
not
in
mutually
talking about that.
exclusive. You can do both things simultaneously.
You can do both things, and like always finding a healthy balance is always key, right?
Mhm.
Balance is everything. Oh, so true.
Hey, Justina, where can our listeners go to connect with you or learn more about you?
Yeah, so I'm always on Instagram.
Okay, sweet.
I need to get a break sometimes. I need a break. But I look at these vegan stuff and I'm like, I probably can't break from that. I feel like
Mm.
I'm doing an injustice if I don't share one thing about veganism. My Instagram is Justina. And I also have another Instagram. It's Justina Vegan Journey,
Mm.
Justina Vegan Journey, where I post like foods that I eat and like just random things relating to veganism and just like self-love. But you always can find me on my main Instagram and Twitter. It's at Justina Adorno. Um,
Awesome.
that's mainly for if you want to be with me while I watch like the shows that I'm on. I always do like live tweeting, and I post once I see something vegan, I repost that shit.
Yes, you
I'm like,
do.
I'm like, retweet. Oh my God.
That's awesome. We will also have show notes so our listeners can get all of the links in one spot. But it was so great to speak with you,
Perfect.
Justina.
Oh my
Thank you so
gosh.
much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. So great speaking with you. Please keep in contact.